The Confrontation 3 tournament list submission is just around the corner and I am having Tomb Blade troubles. Today I'm going to talk about that and my new 8th edition list revamp.
Necrons!
Nick speaking and welcome to this video. Right, in today's video I am going to be updating you on a list for my Confrontation 3 tournament. I wasn't expecting to make this video, however I've had some Tomb Blade troubles. Before we have a chat about this though, if you would like to keep up to date with the Wonders of Warhammer 40k, then please subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss a video. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago I posted a video about 2 Necron lists that I've been working on for the Confrontation 3 tournament that I'm going to in October. I've already played one of those lists and that was in last week's battle report. That was the list with the Tesseract Vault in, although I did forget to bring the magnetised struts, so I wasn't actually able to play it on the table in that version. However, I played that list. I was very happy with its performance. It was up against Richard's Thousand Suns list. Richard is also coming to the tournament with me and he has his own YouTube channel which I will link you up to in the description below. The only thing with the Vault list was that it didn't really suit my play style that much, and with all of the Catan powers that got a little bit complicated. Now of course I would get used to using those powers, however it is something extra to think about at the event. Now it's fair to say out of the 2 lists, the Vault list was the most popular in the comments. However, there was some support for the other list as well. Now the other list involved Tomb Blades, and I, as I said, have a Tomb Blade issue. Now it's fair to say that Tomb Blades are one of the best support units that we have in the Necron Codex. They're fast, they're hard to hit, they have some good gun options, they can take a 3+ save, they can take an ability to ignore cover. They can cover a lot of ground on the table. They can grab objectives. You can even use them for bubble wrapping some of your units. They're great for flanking down the sides of the table. They are a fantastic unit to have in a Necron army, and I had a unit of these in my list. However, I don't actually own the Tomb Blade model. Now when I play Tomb Blades, I use the very old Necron Destroyer model. This is a metal model and as you can see it looks very different from the current Necron Destroyer models. So I think it makes great Tomb Blade stand-ins, and with my buddies that is how I've always played them. However, I thought just to make sure I would email the tournament just to check that it's okay for me to use these models as Tomb Blades. Now at the same time I thought I would ask about my Immortals with Tesla, because to be fair I don't own that model either. I own some old metal Immortals and the only gun options that they had was Gore's guns. Now I definitely don't expect to use those models and say they have Tesla guns. However, what I do use for Necron Immortals with Tesla is these very old Necron Warriors. They have a totally different gun and they're actually physically bigger than the current Warrior. I think they make great stand-ins for Immortals with Tesla guns. I think it's very clear that they look different from the Gore's gun Immortals. So I thought I would check with the tournament to see if I could use both of those units in that way. Now probably, and maybe unsurprisingly, I got a response back saying basically no, I can't use them. They're not WYSIWYG and they're not going to hold up in that tournament. Now I can totally understand that. That is understandable. However, it does put me in the position where I can't use Tesla Immortals or Tomb Blades. So my other list is now totally out of the question and it was time to revamp the list. Now going back to all of the comments that I received on that video, all of the advice and feedback, thank you very much to everyone who did make a comment because I really appreciate it. I took all of those comments together and I read and I considered every single comment that I had. It was very useful. Now, I think a lot of you were possibly thinking along the same lines as maybe what I was thinking, that maybe an amalgamation of both of the lists that I had put together combined to give me my ultimate list. Now I have thought quite long and hard about this and there are some elements from the Vault list that I think would be better suited in this other list. So I've redesigned the list totally. As usual, I have the Edict twist on the list. So let's have a look at my new list. Okay, so as I suspected, a lot of you said that taking the troops to get the battalion detachment and the command points was almost a waste of time with Necrons. Troops are quite expensive for Necrons. You're going to be spending just over 300 points to take the battalion detachment to get those CPs, and then you'll need another HQ for another detachment, and bearing in mind that our HQs are also quite expensive. It just doesn't seem to be worthwhile. The only way we can take cheap troops is to have 5 Immortals, and 5 Immortals really don't do a great deal on the table. It also means you're going to have quite a lot of drops on the table, not getting +1 to the dice roll for first turn. So that is exactly what I did. I dropped the troops and I dropped the battalion detachment. I'm now taking an outrider detachment. Now, like I said, the HQs are generally quite expensive, but now I only need 1 HQ, and I need to decide on a dynasty. I seriously considered all of my options regarding the dynasty and your comments, and I have decided that the Sotek dynasty is the one that I'm going to go for, allowing me to move my Doomsday arcs and shoot that gun at its second profile on normal ballistic skill. I think that's going to be invaluable because I probably am going to have to move them to get them into position. Now, after I decided my dynasty, I needed to work out who was going to lead my army. Now, as I said, HQs are quite expensive, but I do only need 1 HQ, and I'm going to be losing command points for taking just 1 outrider detachment. So I've decided, and I think this is my little twist, because I don't really see many people using this guy in their army, but I have decided to use Imhotep the Stormlord as my HQ. Now, taking Imhotep means I'm going to gain 1 extra command point, so even in the outrider detachment I'm going to have 5 command points. Not only that, if I take the Sotek Warlord trait, I can then gain back a CP every time I use one on a 5+. So I think that's going to solve my command point issue of only having an outrider detachment. 5 CPs with a chance of regaining them on a 5+ each time I use them. Imhotep also brings a few other things to the table. I've got My Will Be Done, which I can do twice on infantry units, and he has a D3 living metal, making him slightly more survivable. He has a once only shooting attack, which does D6 mortal wounds unless you roll a 1. However, with the Sotek Warlord trait, I'm able to re-roll 1 hit, wound or damage roll. So I will be using that on his Storm of Lord shooting attack. I think that could be very useful. Now, in my previous list I had 2 units of Wraiths. 1 unit to advance and assault using the stratagem, and the other one to use the Veil of Darkness and teleport over to also assault. However, you can only teleport infantry units. That was a mistake on my behalf. So now I know that mistake, I thought I would just go down to 1 unit of Wraiths. This unit is going to be a total distraction unit. I'm going to try to advance and get them into assault first turn if needed. However, I do have the option to use them either as a speed bump or possibly just as a flanking unit down the side of the table. That might happen if I come across an army that might take my invulnerable save away. I'll use the Wraiths just as a flanking distraction unit. So with 1 unit of Wraiths in the list and no troops, I've got more points to play with. So I'm going to go for 2 maximum units of destroyers. Now, I don't actually own 12 destroyers, I only own 9. So what I'm going to have to do is use 1 group of destroyers with the new models, and I'm going to use 1 group of destroyers as the old destroyer model. The event has already indicated that those old metal models are destroyers, so I'm going to use the 2 different model types to distinguish the 2 different units on the table. Now, of course, you can only use extermination protocols once per phase, So I know a lot of people say just take 1 unit of destroyers. However, with Imatech there and 2 My Will Be Dones, I'm going to be able to make both these units here have +1 to their hits. And then I can use a stratagem on one of them if I want to, so I can re-roll my hits and my wounds. Okay, so for my heavy support choice, I've got 2 Doomsday Arcs. Now, some say that you really need 3 to make your list very competitive. However, I don't have 3 models at the moment. I've only got 2. So 2 it is. Now, it's also been suggested that having heavy destroyers to go alongside my Doomsday Arc is a good way to go, giving me the ability to take those big warlords down. However, I have a slight issue with heavy destroyers because I don't think they are necessarily the best option. I've only got 3, and I think 3 could probably be easily targeted and taken down. However, I do want to put some more heavy support into this list, so I've decided to take a Triarch Stalker. I'm going to take the twin heavy Gauss cannon. It's only 1 less shot than my destroyers, and I have the ability to move and still shoot it because of the Sotek dynasty. And of course, it means that my Doomsday Arcs, if they target the same unit that the Triarch Stalker shoots, can re-roll the 1s to hit. So I can get my re-roll of 1s on the Doomsday Arc without having to take the Nihilic dynasty. I think that's a good double whammy. Plus, of course, I've got more quantum shielding on the table along with the Doomsday Arcs, giving my opponent the choice of what to shoot at. Now, this left me with around 100 points left to spend, and I've decided to go for a unit of Scarabs. So I've got 8 Scarabs. Now, this is one reason why I've taken the Outrider detachment, because now I've got 4 fast attacks. The Scarabs are going to be multi-tasked. Of course, they can go up front to take any mortal wounds from Smite if needed. I can hold them back and bubble wrap my Doomsday Arcs for any deep strikers that are coming in. There is a possibility I can split these down into 2 units of 4. That might be slightly better. However, it means I'll have 1 more drop on the table. As this list stands at 1800 points exactly, I had 9 points left over, so I added a whip coil to one of the wraiths, giving me 8 drops. And I'm hoping that 8 drops will allow me to have +1 to the dice rolled in most cases, allowing me to take full advantage of my Doomsday Arcs and Triarch Stalker. So that is my new list. Let me know in the comments box below what you think of it. I'm going to be playing this list tonight. I'll be making a battle report, and that will be up on the channel next Monday. So make sure you tune back in to see that. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. Hit my icon at the end to keep up to date with the Wonders of Warhammer 40k. Beam me up.